Hello, folks, and welcome back after that short little break. We have got the Fraud Squad versus Serenity Senate coming up here. I am your friendly neighborhood shotcaster, Shargan, once again joined by Lolo. And after that last game, I'm not sure exactly who to really start rooting for. Serenity Senate has been doing a pretty bang-up job this whole season, though.
Yeah, absolutely. This is I'm hoping to be a slightly more competitive game than the last one we saw. We are seeing some slightly altered rosters on both sides. We've got a little bit of a last-minute sub-in from Table Davis in the mid lane for Fraud Squad. Gouchmaster, their mid laner, having to take a slight emergency step outside, so great for him to sub in at short notice. And on the other side, Serenity Senate have been moving things around with their top lane, where they've got Jack Skog King filling in on the top side, and their previous top laner, P. Sweezy, really strong top lane, and now moving into the bot lane. So very exciting, lots of new stuff to be seeing. And as we get into the pick and ban, we see some immediate, I would say, moves towards the mid and bot lane, particularly the mid lane, I think, for the side of Fraud Squad, taking away that Rise, which is one of Tiki's signature picks.
Mm-hmm. And do want to point out that due to the last-minute substitutions, I believe we have some subtracted bans for Serenity Senate, so they aren't able to take some stuff away, which is going to make things a little bit more tricky for them versus Fraud Squad. Allow Fraud Squad to have a little bit more flexibility, a little bit to kind of pick and choose what they want to do. This is going to be the debut of Jack Skog King. We haven't seen them perform this season yet, so it's going to be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. Serenity Senate has done a really good job of just kind of like playing that macro game to the for the long haul. So like they've been really good about playing these games out, making sure that they do these wins cleanly. Sometimes it ends up biting them in the butt a little bit because they aren't able to get that early lead going. But with that Jarvan already being picked up for Fraud Squad and the Rek'Sai as a response, I do think that Fraud has decided, you know what, we want to get hard. We've seen how powerful Jarvan is. We want to respond with that. And so the Serenity is just deciding, you know what, let's get ourselves a nice roaming jungler, able to support lanes across the map and picking up that Rek'Sai.
Yeah, absolutely. And Filthy Casual, of course, also a relatively new addition to the squad. I believe last week was his first game, and he had a pretty good showing on a Hecarim, I believe. So they've got a lot of faith in him to be going into, making a pretty positive move. Hopefully trying to play around him a little bit with this, as you said, very strong roaming pick to the Rek'Sai. And we're going to see a Tristana coming out from Serenity Senate. That could, of course, be flexed into the mid or bot lane, depending on what. Or the top lane, of course, it's not unheard of. And I'm not sure about. I hate to say this as a Jhin lover, a Jhin aficionado, but this is not a good matchup for Jhin at all. And it does going to provide a lot of utility. It is a very strong pick in its own right. It does have a little bit of flaws here and there, and the laning phase is fantastic. But against this Tristana, I hope they're going to be able to give him enough room to kind of scale his way into the mid game.
And you're absolutely right. And we see the Alawi coming out as well. We had a previous game, I believe it was Church of Alfonso versus Blue Bayou Zoo, where that Alawi just became a absolute beast in the late game. And the thing is, with the Cataclysm available from Jarvan and the Curtain Call from Jhin, you bring in an Alawi, that's just going to be so much damage concentrated into a single targeted location that just makes it that much easier for Fraud Squad to like just really make sure everything is getting hit.
Yeah, and Kayle is the response here. And again, I think this is a very bold play. I'm going to assume this is going to be going up into the top lane with Jack Skog King. I mean, it could be flex mid. We do see, from stuff like Nemesis, some, real power from Kayle in the mid lane. But, that's not so much heard of in most levels. And the thing is, Kayle, obviously an incredibly high scaling late game champion, one of the best in the game. But we talked about how this Alawi could become a monster if she's left unchecked. And this really isn't the champion to do it. So I think they must have a game plan. I hope they do.
You say that, but at the same time, Kale versus Alawi does have a superior win rate, and it's not by an insignificant margin. The early lead ratio does definitely go to Alawi. Alawi is basically going to win a pretty vast majority, like 3/4 the percent of the time. 3/4 of the time, the Alawi will have the advantage early game. But with the utility and the amount of damage that the Kale does bring out towards the later stages of the game, especially once they hit their power spikes at 11 and 16, it just becomes absolutely disgusting. So it could be that Serenity Senate is like, look, we've got some early game advantage, especially picking up an Orianna here. So they got some early game advantage with the Tristana and then the Orianna. You then allow the Kale to scale into that late game to eventually become the auto attack cannon that is just absolutely shredding through the tanks, because she will eventually get to that point if the game goes long enough. So I'm not too against the Kale pick. I'm actually like, I do see some thought process behind it. I just have to wonder if Fraud Squad is going to take advantage of the fact that Kale has such a weak early game to really try and snowball that Alawi, get them out of the top lane and across the map and affecting the rest of this game. With the Nico pickup here as well, you do have some nice CC on top of the Nautilus. However, that's, again, you're very not single target, but very single line focused. And with the Soraka pick, you can already see the sustain is where Serenity wants to go.
Yeah, and they Soraka, of course, recently buffed up with the changes to our ultimate now, removing grievous wounds. I mean, with this squad, there is going to be a reasonable amount of sustain, particularly with the Riftmaker on the Kale, the Rek'Sai possibly as well. But I think ideally they'd want this this Nautilus to be roaming. You've seen a lot of all of the bans targeted towards Raw Dog Ross and on that support pick. And he has picked up a very strong choice in the Nautilus, but ideally you'd want this to be enabling his solo laners, but it's going to be so difficult for him to get out of lane when the Jhin is going to get pushed in constantly by this Tristana. So I think if he is able to start impacting the map, that would be fantastic. I mean, the mid lane matchup, as you said, I think the Orianna very, very strong early. The Nico, of course, does have a lot of CC and a decent amount of clear. So that lane, I mean, it is a sub in. I'm not too sure how confident Table Davis is on the pick, but it should be interesting to see. However, I really do worry a little bit for Fraud Squad in this bot lane. However, we'll see what happens.
It's gonna. I think the bot lane is actually going to be one of those lanes that there's going to be some action down there, and but with a Soraka rather than an aggressive support for Serenity Senate, it does mean that we're not going to be seeing the Tristana play too crazy early on. They are going to be going for that scaling Tristana.
Yeah.
We already see Filthy Casual and I think it's IOM, just kind of posturing as one does in the bot lane. Or in the topside jungle. Yeah,
absolutely. And okay, so God, I got caught out there. I'm so upset with myself. You see the Nico camouflage, and you're like, you do have to wait to see. I'm like, why is this Jhin pathing towards mid? But I got gotten. I've already been gotten once this game. I think I'm gonna have to start making a count of how many times that clone is gonna catch me out. But in the meantime, we're not going to see anything too spicy from either of these teams in the early game. They're both going to be leashing on the bot side for their junglers and moving down into the bot lane. And I think we're going to be seeing, hopefully, a bit of a early push for level 2 from the Tristana, who does have significantly faster clear. However, the Nautilus is a great counter into that end lane specifically. We didn't talk about that as much as the roaming, but he does have a really good method of getting on the Tristana. And
already we see IOUM. He's going in on this engage right here on Tiki, trying to get some damage out. Does manage to pick up the flash and an extra auto attack. That is going to get them really low, and that is going to allow First Blood to get picked up by this mid lane. That was very, very well done.
It was superb, and that's a very early. All summoners now gone from this Orianna, and we did say this Orianna would, in isolation, have a pretty good go of them the early game, but I mean, just IOM really playing very, very strong into his mid laner and trying to enable Fro and Murphy to snowball. And actually, we must note that, I mean, the roles are slightly reversed here, by the way. We are seeing Table Davis sitting on that Nautilus and Fro and Murphy on the Nico. So a little bit different to what we were seeing in the draft. But again, I think that Nico already is going to be looking very happy. She's not going to be she's not had to burn the TP herself, so a lot of priority there in the mid lane. That's going to be very, very nice for another Jarvan to be given a lot of free reign over the river.
Yep, and we can already see that the Filthy Casual Landshark has decided to make an appearance in the top lane. We have a nice knockup right here. Papa Bear getting really, really low, and that is going to be a flash kill onto them as Filthy Casual picks up that one. However, IOUM is waiting in the wings. They are ready to engage on this, but they get spotted by Jack Scott King's ward. They do manage to clear it out and are just kind of waiting, I think, to see exactly who goes where. Filthy Casual doing a very risky thing, but they are managing to hit the Jarvan and able to see him.
Yeah, and of course, Tiki was up there hovering with the mid lane push at that moment, just in case anything was going to happen. So overall, a very nice counterpunch from the side of Serenity there. And
nice,
as I say that,
hook. Nice, just missing the root from the Jhin, though. That could have been a lot of damage in that one.
The problem is that really, I mean, they do have Ignite, of course. That is going to help a lot in trying to get a bit of early kill pressure. But with a Soraka and the limited DPS from Jhin in the early game, it actually is going to be quite difficult for them to get any, sizable kill pressure down. And as I say that, we are going to see another Jarvan attempt to potentially taking over the map. He's going to go and get some vision there on the bot side, but the Rex side did manage to clear it already, and that, from what I understand, Illaoi is actually one of Papa Bear's more comfortable picks. And whilst we have seen already some attention being put up there to try to keep the Kayle online, again, actually, as we see Filthy Casual roaming back up.
Yep, and we get a nice route right here in the mid lane as Tiki gets kind of caught taking a triple shot from that Nico. Froa Murphy doing a really good job just kind of keeping Nico basically under wraps, and then IOUM is doing a nice cheeky little play right here, slipping around the minions, trying to stay out of vision, and he's managed to do it in just the perfect way. He's able to get an alco play flash coming out right now. That's going to be a good flash out of Ollie, though, and that is not a lot of damage coming out from this bot lane, because like you said, Jhin just doesn't have it in the early game.
No, he really needs a couple of items to be able to actually provide a lot of, some real kill pressure for himself. And it did get the flash, but only out of the Soraka. So Psweezy there, he's going to be looking, relatively happy. He's going to be able to clear this out fairly quickly. It is going to allow a shove for the bot side of Fraud Squad, and they are potentially going to be able to get themselves a nice base there, get themselves a bit of priority. So, and with the bot side river under their control with vision wise because of the crab, then that's quite nice for them. It is going to allow a bit of pressure, in fact, in the entirety of the river, because as we can see, Frau Murphy has managed to get priority in the mid lane. But on the top side there, we are seeing just a little bit of a roam down there from Jack Scott King, who is doing quite well so far, especially given that initial aid he saw from IOM on the Jarvan.
Jack Scott King's main goal as of this moment is not to do anything crazy. They just want to farm, be safe, level up, get themselves to that level 6 power spike, which is going to allow them to become a ranged champion, making that much easier for them to pick up the CS that they need. And then as this game progresses, they will just slowly become a timer. We've got a TP coming out right here, though. They did just hit level. They're still level 5. Froa Murphy does manage to get a nice root right here in the mid lane, getting a nice bit of damage right here. The Flourish does manage to actually get a good root off. We do see the level 6 hit at just the wrong moment. Ult coming out a little bit early. Kayle, in the meantime, has come down to join this, and that is a lot of damage coming out from this red side. Jack Scott King getting a lot of damage off. Table Davis getting taking some damage as well. And we see that Froa Murphy just trying to do what they can. And this is just kind of one of those whittle away fights. Froa getting really, really low and does finally get taken down by the rest of them. And that was a very good fight in the bot lane.
Yeah, and a lot of that did come off the fact that Jack Scott King had held the TP and was able to get that down to the bot side and get so much value. 5 assists. That is pretty nice for the Kayle. It is going to allow them to pick up this early Infernal Drake. And we've got a little bit more time. We are seeing, of course, cross-map play from Papa Bear, who did not have the TP to engage in the fight. He's going to get a couple of early plates. And the Illaoi, looking very strong, big CS lead, so that may come into play later on in the game. But as this dragon goes down, Sharagan, I want to put it to you again. What's the soul of this game?
Soul this game, I was thinking that it was going to be Ocean Soul, so I'm still kind of on track for that right now, because it was the Infernal Drake first, and then we're seeing the Mountain Drake here. I did mean to actually say something earlier, so that's why I'm saying first thought was Ocean Soul.
Okay, Ocean Soul we're going to go for here, and that's going to provide awful lot of sustain. In fact, both of these sides would love to pick that up. The Alawi, of course, infinite amounts of sustain if she keeps getting the tentacle smashes off. And this Kayle, once she's got the Riftmaker online a little bit later on, is also going to be a bit of a nightmare to deal with, particularly when she's got the Soraka ult backing her up and relieving all of that Grievous. So I would love to see it. It would make these fights incredibly extended
swingy,
late
very
game.
swingy. Nice flash by Filthy Casual, but does manage to get silence. The silence does come out, so it keeps Raw Dog Ross from being able to get away too quickly. Lots of damage coming out right here. We do see that they're not quite able to get Tristana, though, is going to jump in, trying to get that shot off. Deadly First is going to trap them, but just outside of tower range, so they are going to be safe.
Yeah, and that's the plight of the Jhin, man. He's got no mobility of his own, and he had burned his flash in that previous engage, so a nice, a sitting target for the Rek'Sai, of course, but ultimately, they get very little out of it, and this is allowing a cross-map play for the side of Fraud Squad, who are going to go and take themselves an early Herald.
Yeah, really good macro play coming out from the side of Fraud Squad as they decide to go for that top lane objective. Gonna hopefully probably end up using it in this top lane against that turret, which would allow the Alawi to have that much more map presence, get them a lot more, try and get that snowball rolling even faster, get them going before the Kayle has a chance to come online. Which is something that they need to do, because if Serenity Senate is allowed to continue scaling up, they're just going to become a very, very scary opponent.
And look at all this pressure that Jack Scott King is under right now. You see immediately, as you predicted, the Herald is coming up into that top side, and that's going to clean the tower. She's not going to be able to get that in time, and
not quite. We do see them managing to get a lot of damage off, getting some of that Righteous Fury built up. This is going to be a situation, though, where Jack Scott King has got to be very careful. They have to jump back. They are going to get caught under the Cataclysm. The heal's going to come out, though, but that is going to be the clone getting taken out. The ultimate coming out from
nice.
Kayle, managing to pick up that kill. However, they are going to get smacked so hard by this Alawi. Papa Bear is going to pick themselves up a revenge. Oh, look
and there we go. Then Filthy
Casual just obliterating the Nico.
Yeah, beautiful play there from Filthy Casual, who has been... Both of these junglers have been making as many moves as possible to cross-map. As I say that, though. Oh, not again!
So we're just showing this is the replay of the kill. Thank you to Adobe Creative Cloud as we get to see Filthy Casual able to pick this up. That was a really good tunnel and a really good ultimate coming out, allowing them to get the Rek'Sai's damage off, and that's going to allow them a huge amount of pressure in this mid lane, which Serenity needs to crack in order to try and relieve some of that pressure in the top side.
You'll have to excuse me. It's almost 2 a.m. here and my brain is fried. But anyway, yeah, beautiful replay there. And as we can see, nice bits of both of these junglers making as much move as possible to get value on the map when they do see commitment from the other side. But ultimately, that first blood turret did go down, first brick, excuse me, from the on the top side. And this Alawi is kind of accelerated right now. She's working towards that Divine Sundra very, very quickly. And on the bot side, I mean, it's only really been... There hasn't been as much kill threat as I had expected, of course, the Soraka, not as much of a kill threat enabling support as some others. So, really, both of these AD carries just looking to scale up. However, I mean, I do say there's not much kill pressure, but Raw Dog Ross really can't walk up right now, and he's sitting on quite a sizable CS deficit at this point, and this is only going to work more wonders for the side of Serenity, as that Tristana is coming online in not too long as well.
IOUM is wandering around in this topside jungle, trying to avoid having to fight off Jack's God, but he doesn't have to. Does manage to get over the wall. Nice use of the banner. However, so in terms of this bot lane, I really feel like Serenity Senate decided to go for the calm Zen picks with this Tristana and Soraka. They knew that Jhin and Nautilus were going to want to fight early and want to fight a lot, and so they're just like, fine, if you want to fight, we'll just remain calm, find our Serenity now, and just wait you out.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I do kind of question the Jhin. I hate saying this, of course. I do love the champion, but I do kind of question the pick in response to the Tristana. But either way, I really hope that Raw Dog Ross does get to prove me wrong as this game progresses. He will scale up eventually, and he will be doing quite a lot of and it will be enabling fights quite nicely with the curtain call in the later stages of the game, particularly considering how strong this Alawi frontline is looking at this stage. But
Filthy
On the other
Casual
side,
remaining very calm, doing a very good job just staying burrowed right here. That land shark is waiting for an opportunity to ambush its prey. But once they see IOUM walk in here, like, you know what? Nope. There's too much effort here. So like a shark, they just decided to walk away.
and as we can see, I mean...
Right there, jumping right on the Nico, getting a nice jump up, nice knockback. But we see the Void Rush come out to avoid the ultimate from the Nico. And Filthy Casual picks up the solo kill.
Once again, just putting on a clinic against this Nico, and that is going to give Serenity all the priority they need to pick up potentially the second dragon of the game. I mean, the Alawi is wrapping around, but because the Kale is pushing into the top side, she is going to have to TP up, and that is going to give them the Drake. And you called the Ocean. You called the Ocean.
For Ocean Drake, so we'll see here in just a second what ends up coming out. And unfortunately for Fraud Squad, it's a Wind Drake. Finally, I got one wrong.
Oh no, I was rooting for the Ocean, but the Cloud Drake, of course, going to make some of these side lane plays a little bit more enabled by the speed in the river. So that's going to be very nice for the Rek'Sai in particular, I think.
It is going to allow them to move around the map that much faster, just with all those tunnels anyway. There's so much mobility. I mean, here's the thing. I like what Jhin has done by setting up a nice wall of traps like that. Nice flash hook, but is just going to go wide as the flash comes out from Tiki as well. But in regards to those trap placements, against anyone except the Rek'Sai, I think those work fine. Because Rek'Sai doesn't need to see you to gank, and then they don't need to actually... go through the lane. They can just go over the wall. Right there, absolutely. We see Rek'Sai going for the closer one, thinking that they're going to go under turret, and they are correct as Ferraro Mercury does get exceptionally low. We see the Void Rush come out. They are going to take a couple of tower shots, but it's still not going to matter.
Every time the Void Rush, perfectly timed to avoid the pop blossom there from Nico. And I mean, if I were Ferraro Murphy right now, I would be getting a little bit frustrated at this Rek'Sai, who's making it almost unplayable for him.
It's like, why? Why are you here? You're not supposed to be ganking me. You're supposed to be helping your Kale stay alive.
I mean, but the thing is, like, there's only so much pressure that they can put on the Kale right now because of the amount of like pressure that Serenity is putting in the mid and bot, and you know, they've had to dedicate their bot lane into the mid lane quite sensibly, because it is going to give the Jhin a continual safe lane to farm and kind of almost sack this Nico to the whims of this continually snowballing Prowler Spore Rek'Sai that is just not, you know, doesn't have a care in the world, and there's nothing quite that can stop her right yet. And how Papa Bear?
Papa Bear getting kind of like caught out a little bit right there. Rek'Sai chasing down the Tentacle Monster. We see the Land Sharks decide to go after some seaworthy prey. In the meantime, we have a nice shockwave here in the middle. That is a huge amount of damage onto this Orianna coming out onto this Jarvan. Jarvan's going to get caught up by the Filthy Casual as he came around the side. In the meantime, in the mid lane, we have the fight continuing. We have Alawi getting a nice bit of damage off on the clone. Do see the slow onto the Soraka. That's going to be a 4v3 in this mid lane right now, while Kale, in the meantime, is just going to be allowed to free farm top, which I don't think you want Kale to be doing. It's going to get her up to 100 CS. She's making that triple-digit barrier. And we can already see that they are level 10, one more level to hit level 11, which will be their next power spike. And every time Kale hits that next power spike, it just becomes that much harder to start taking them down.
Absolutely. She's working her way towards... She may already have the Nash's Tooth completed. We'll see once she backs. But I think she will do, actually, just from the gold she has. There you go. And it's partly, I think, just because the Filthy Casual putting on a clinic with this Rek'Sai is forcing members around the map to respond. And they did go for a nice dive onto Tiki in the mid lane and get some shutdown gold onto the Jhin, which is nice for them. And they are managing to set up priority on this second Herald. But even so...
See, and I ooh, that hook is a little sus right there. Not sure if that should have connected, but it did anyways. Table Davis does manage to get a lot of damage off onto this Rek'Sai, but Filthy Casual is able to just walk out calmly, and that is going to be this Rift Herald, most likely going over to Fraud Squad, though we could see a steal attempt here. And, you know, it's kind of funny. Getting Kale top tower first does mean that you allow Alawi to have access to the rest of the map, right? However, it does also mean Kale is pushed that much farther back towards their base, which makes them a lot safer and able to farm a lot easier, which allows them to scale up. So it's almost like that early top tower may have gone against Fraud Squad's favor. We do see the second Rift Herald being dropped here in the mid lane. This is going to allow them to break this lane open, which will allow them to pressure topside a little bit more, probably trying to catch this Kale out to slow them down, but I think it might already be too late.
It might be. It's going to get another charge off here, and
oh no, P-Sweezy missing the jump and having to flash over the
goodness.
wall just to be safe. We do see the rest of Serenity Senate now here in the mid lane as they didn't stop this push in time. So that is going to be a lot of damage out coming out. We have the Alawi managing to pick up 2 targets. Shockwave as well is going to pick up a couple of different members, though, and that is going to be a lot of damage. Beautifully done, catching them inside the Cataclysm, so their own safety net became their own destruction. Good chase. The Nautilus hook does manage to connect, but he's going to go down before it does actually manage to pull him away. Filthy Casual might still be looking to take down Frau Murphy, continuing hunting down this lizard, but the Land Shark has just decided, you know what? I think that I have enough right now. I'm just going to go get some chicken.
Yeah, a bit of a disrespectful overextension there from the side of Fraud Squad. Not respecting the combination of that Shockwave, the re-engage and chase down from the Rek'Sai.
And in the meantime, you have this right here. Jack's got King seeing the Alawi, but choosing not to engage right away. Instead, focusing on this tower, has just decided, you know what? Objectives matter to me more. Now they're continuing the fight as they know that they've been caught under tower. They're trying to kill it before it does manage to kill them. Beautiful. They do manage to do it. Very well played by Jack's God King, and that is going to be the Drake picked up as well, as Serenity Senate have essentially cracked this game so far open that it is their game to lose.
It really is at this point. This Kayle is fully online right now. The Rek'Sai, they got so much value out of that mid lane play, not only because they did pick themselves up a nice Cloud Drake and put themselves on Soul Point and get some kills over, but the Kayle just managed to go and take the top tier 2. She is looking pretty massive right now. She's on her way towards a Rift Maker to couple with the Nash's Tooth, and she's at level 11, as you said, one of her big spikes, but she's now going to be able to sit in a side lane, and they really are going to have to commit quite a lot of resources to going and stopping her. So right now, Serenity Senate, do, as you say, have free reign of the map. They are going to have to, I think, eventually respond to this Alawi, who's trying to do likewise in the top lane, but it's nothing too much for them to be afraid of on the map right now. There really isn't. This Jarvan just isn't the same Jarvan we saw in the previous game, and the pick potential on the side of Fraud Squad right now really isn't there.
Table Davis missing a dredge line right there, not quite able to hit the terrain in order to pull themselves out. So one thing that I think is really interesting is Kayle has also decided to opt into building just a legendary item rather than starting with a mythic. So they are like not exactly, it's not delaying a power spike, it's just the nature of the build path that allows Kayle to get those auto attacks off a lot faster. We do see Filthy Casual already has a spell shield as well. That is just going to make them that much harder to CC, which is going to be really, really important in all these fights, because that is the big advantage that Fraud Squad has. They're able to lock you into a location in order to hit you from a distance with all these abilities. I mean, just look at this. We see Frau Murphy so low just after 3 auto attacks from Jack's God King. They can basically chase them under tower. Don't even need to worry about it. Before the Pop Blossom even has a chance to come out, the ultimate from Kayle coming out as well. The lifesteal from that Omni-Man is so devastating, and that is a 2v1 essentially going over to Jack's God King. And
this is horrendous for them, because look, the Baron's going to be picked up on the other side right now. That's just spawned. Like, the fact that IOIM had to roam down or like beeline down towards Kayle to try to stop him, and they couldn't even stop him in time. It's just 2 kills easily picked up for Jack's God King, who now is monstrous. And on the flip side, it really is. I mean, the gold lead is just going to balloon at this point after this Baron, and given the amount of easy side lane pressure they have from this Kayle now, they're going to have to commit something like 3 or 4 members with perfect execution to deal with her. And given the TP advantage that, of course, I mean, Tiki does save this TP. It's not the most devastating TP in that you might think of, but even so, the Rek'Sai as well, with this Cloud Soul, or this Cloud Rift, is going to be able to get there very quickly as well. So much mobility, of course, on the side of Serenity Senate with this 4-1 setup that, yeah, the Kayle can just sit there and do what she pleases.
Yep, and the other advantage is just if you look at the way Serenity Senate's comp is established, you have so much push potential in just the Orianna and the Tristana that if you put Kayle in the side lane opposite of them, then essentially you've got 2 massively pushing waves that there's nothing you can do to stop them, because you have to commit 3 just to stop 1 champion.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, now we have to really think, like, what is the potential... how can Fraud Squad work their way back into this game? And honestly, I mean, the first thing they're going to have to do is try somehow to respond to this Kayle. But at the same time, as you said, their mid lane is getting getting shoved in. And with these Baron-empowered minions...
I would like to point out that we see right there, that is the first time the spell shield has gone down. We do see the Void Rush coming out in order to make them unstoppable. They are jumping on this backline, trying to take out the Jhin. Don't manage to get it. That's going to be a huge amount of shutdown gold going off. However, Jack Scott King has decided to dive under tower, and they're getting a lot of damage off right there. Just look at this. Nice knock-up coming out as well. The flash in order to try and survive. That is going to be Serenity Senate overstaying their welcome just a little bit, as a lot of gold just got transferred from them to Fraud Squad. But is it really going to do much, considering this is still a 10k gold lead?
Well, you did say, Sharagan, that, it was their game to lose. And I mean, it isn't, it was still a big dive. They did manage to get a tower or so out of it. And they are going to reset with that empowered recall in time to get down for that soul. So, they're still in a very comfortable position. It does give a bit of shutdown gold onto the Nico, I believe, who picked up that massive 1k that was sitting on the Rek'Sai. The Kayle as well, who's still got a shutdown even after dying, considering how gigantic she is. But they're going to beeline down for this soul, and even so, with the TP as well from the Kayle, who's just going to continue side laning without a care in the world. And I don't know, I wouldn't want to be the Nautilus and the J4 face checking this.
No, it would be so terrifying to do, and this is going to be the Cloud Drake starting up. There is a TP coming out from the Alawi. They do have an opportunity to jump right onto 5 members, but they're going to get caught out as the Shockwave, the stuns, the roots just are too much for them to actually deal with. Shockwave actually has not been used, my fault for saying that. We do see that J4 tries to steal the Drake, doesn't manage to do it, gets taken down by the Kayle, and that is just going to be the cop running over this rift.
Yeah, absolutely, and there was nothing they could do. Yeah. There was nothing they could do about that. And I mean, credit to IOIM for going for a little bit of a steal at the end there, but he was just a little bit too late.
Look at this. We have
over. Yeah.
Right onto Raw Dog. There's nothing they can do. Void Rush coming out to reset the tower aggro. We have Pro Murphy trying to get some damage off, but just isn't quite able to do it. This tower is non-existent in terms of resistances, and then that is just going to be Tristana absolutely shredding through it. We're probably going to be seeing this push to end the game right here. They can just easily siege this tower. They have the huge amount of damage right there. You just get that Tristana bomb on there. That tower is going to die very quickly. Right there, lots of damage coming out. Good aggression by Fraud Squad, trying to do what they can. IOM managing to go down. Unfortunately, they do finally take down the Kayle as Frau Murphy does pick up that shutdown. But that is just one tower left. The Baron is gone at this point. It's not going to be up for another 2 minutes. I don't know if we're going to actually see it matter in this next part of the game, though. So there is that. We do see this fight just continuing, though, as Serenity is just decided to overstay their welcome. The rest
here we go.
Fraud Squad trying to get off. Good flash by Jhin, Soraka in order to get away. And this is just going to be the Rek'Sai using the tunnels to run back, and that is why Rek'Sai chasing is so difficult. In the meantime, in the bot lane, we have P-Sweezy jumping out of the pop flower, does manage to get over the wall. There is a flash available. There's no flash available for Frau Murphy, so they aren't able to get over. But the casual decides to come in and re-engage. They do use the tower. They are blocking all of the vision, so auto attacks cannot get them. They have 22 health, and I think I can finally take a breath.
Gosh, what an extended series of events. I mean, a little bit of an overextension there, of course, from the side of Serenity. They did, just I suppose, because of, how confident they were feeling with these, it's an 8.6k gold lead, but it's a soul, it's pretty much everything they could ask for. But they did sit in a leap of faith tentacle slam for quite a long time there, and that eventually they thought, now we can just wait this out. We're so far ahead. But credit to Papa Bear there, managing to hold on there and deny them the end straight away. But the bad news for them is this Baron is spawning in 45 seconds time. Minutes, good lord.
Yep.
And
it's a situation where they basically were kind of like, you know what? Let's run out the clock and try and get another Baron. Nice jump over the wall by Filthy Casual to just catch out Frau Murphy, and that's going to be a lot of damage as they're having to run away around the corner, trying to stay out of sight, but it's not going to matter as the Void Rush was already on them and they had nowhere to go. That is Tristana jumping over the wall. Now it's just a question, are Serenity Senate going to go for the Baron, or are they just going to go to end the game?
Well, I mean, that's a very nice pick onto the Nico.
Some members want to go Baron. It looks like others want to end the game, so it looks like it could be both.
It could be both at this stage. I mean, Tiki's still sitting on TP, just a note, so obviously he can go and join this if it looks dicey, but let's be honest, it's only a level 15 Kayle. So it's not quite the unkillable demon that you might think. But
yeah, I think she just needs a little bit more experience, and then she'll become that absolute monster. So they might be wanting to get to that level 16 just so they can have that fun time of being a level 16 pure forever exalted Kale. Raw Dog can't run away from this. There's just no way for him to avoid the extended range that that Kale is able to get. They just hit level 16 now. Forever exalted. They are an absolute monster. There is hardly anything you can do to stop them. Good hook, though, coming out from the side of Table Davis as they do manage to slay Ollie. That is going to be the heals that are completely gone, but this tower is going to go down in 2 auto attacks. Jax God King is just going to jump onto Table Davis and get him out.
He's level 16.
And then they're just going to jump on there, and that is going to be game for Serenity Senate.
And really, I mean, they never... No, there was no real agency on the side of Fraud Squad for the majority of the game, unfortunately. I mean, partly because Filthy Casual, honestly, on this Rek'Sai was putting on a clinic everywhere. He was drawing people across the map. And whilst we do see, of course, from the damage graph that this Kale was utterly monstrous, I mean, she was, they did do what they set out to, which was try to deny her early and like push the turret. Get the Herald, blast the turret open, and like allow the Alawi to roam a little bit around the map. But as you said, Sharagan, it did allow her to sort of sit up there in that top lane and scale. And whilst that was happening, Rek'Sai was just all around the map, and there was very little that the rest of Fraud Squad could do about it. I mean, you see how many times that this poor Nico got jumped on, and there was nothing she could do about it either because, perfect execution for Filthy Casual, and across the board just, again, I was hoping for a slightly more competitive game, but unfortunately we didn't get one.
Unfortunately, Serenity Senate is a very strong team, and I feel like their macro is very, very powerful, and they've done a really good job being the sister team of Terracotta. I feel like there is a lot to be said about that. And as we can see, just kind of looking at how this game played out, Fraud Squad put up one heck of a fight, but unfortunately the Serenity Senate just had their center that much stronger, and they just kind of knew exactly what their game plan was and were able to execute it. With that, we're going to be taking a quick break, and we will be right back, folks, so stick around. Don't go away. Hello, folks. Welcome back. I am your friendly neighborhood Shackhouse Shargan, and then once again, I am joined by the filthy casual, just sitting in that jungle on the Rek'Sai. I mean, come on, really? Like, why? Why are you just sitting in there all the time, just ganking lanes constantly?
Listen, I have one philosophy playing jungle. If you're playing a ganking jungler, if you're farming camps, you're doing it wrong because there's someone out there that needs your help. Likely, most of the time. But like, if you're in your jungle, then you're not ganking, and if you're not murdering somebody, then you're not winning. That's all there is to it. It's that simple.
That is a very simple philosophy. I kind of agree with that. Now, I kind of want to ask you about this draft because whenever we first saw it coming out, Lolo and I were both kind of like, they're going for a scaling comp, which is not something we usually see in this series, like in the sense of, especially with a Kale, who's usually a really late game champion, but you seem to get her online pretty quickly.
Yeah, so I made it specifically noted that I didn't want to have anything to do with top lane, right? I didn't want to touch top lane, I didn't want to be anywhere near top lane, and I never said this, but I think it was understood that you are going to survive by yourself. I'm going to sit on Tristana for like 5 minutes and dive people every other minute, right? And you're going to be awesome. And he did exactly that. And that is exactly what I wanted, and it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Now, at the same time, you say that, but there was an Alawi that was picked up pretty early in that draft. So, like, that's for a Rek'Sai, that's a fairly easy lane to gank, isn't it?
It really is. However, going into this game, I saw Tristana, and I had my choice. I was like, all right, is it Hail of Blades, and I, one-shot everybody? Or is it Conquer, and I pray that Jarvan doesn't meet me top lane? And I don't want to take any chances. I don't know this enemy jungler. I don't know anything about him. So I was like, I'm going to go Hail of Blades. I'm going to play opposite of him the entire game and just do my thing and watch him try to do stuff after the game's already won on my side. That was the plan.
It definitely seemed like that's exactly the plan that you wanted to have to play out, and that's exactly what you executed, which results now in you being at your team being at a 5-2 score right now. So I have to ask, how do you feel about your current standings? And then what are your plans when you go up against Universal Basic Income?
All right, I got one answer and one question. My one answer is, all right, so we're sitting here 5-2. How would I feel? I feel great. Now my question is, what type of question is that? My plan is to win. What other plan does there need to be? Listen, we go in, we get a dub, and we go home. Well, figuratively, I guess, but that's the plan, and we're gonna do it again.
All right, well, you heard it here, going for that win. I was kind of wondering if you were just gonna go for the absolute stomp or kind of give him a fighting chance. I think you're going for the absolute stomp. So Filthy Casual, I want to say thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
All right, I'm glad to be here.
All right, with that, we will be taking a quick break, folks. Stick around, and we will be right back.